What is the most useless fact taking up space in your brain?
Oh, definitely. I would say probably 19. Well, I won't even say the year. I would say the fact that
Hello, my Misfit friends. Nancy Carmichael here, your humble host and Chief Misfit. Welcome to another great day here on the aisle. And I got to tell you, what makes it even greater is that we have someone who's been with us so many times, I've frankly lost count. He's got the lifetime diamond membership. He's entitled to all the snacks, all the upgrades. So, of course, you know, I could only be talking about our friend, Alan Arnold. Welcome, Alan. It's so great to have you back.
Nancy, it's so great to be back. I love being on the Isle of Misfits, and I like how I have a beach chair now on the shore with my name, like on the beach chair. Like that's a really cool thing that we're sitting in while we're talking.
Oh yeah, that is one of the perks you're entitled to for life. So I just want to make sure your check-in experience was everything it needed to be. You know, just let us know.
It was great. Yeah. It was great. And I've lost count too, but it's like the biggest treat when you and I get to talk about all things story and creativity and just trying to be not aligned to the patterns of this world, but to be joyful misfits who pursue what God's inviting us into. Like, you're one of the few people I get to talk about that and could just riff for hours on, because that's both of our hearts. We're kindred spirits in that way.
Joyful Misfits. Love it. That sounds like either a rock band or, I don't know, something. I'm writing that one down.
Or your next book?
Or my next book, yes. So the working title, The Joyful Misfit Life. I like that. So, yeah, so we are here to talk specifically about creativity and joy, and but the things that get in the way of that, because we want to get to the joy, we want to get to the creativity, but there's some glitches I hear that happen, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because I hear you wrote a book called The Creativity Glitch.
I didn't know you were
glitching out. I know, I was
I was like, The Creativity Glitch, yes, is my new book, which is how to stop being stuck and how to find our groove and how to create with God. And so I'm all about the glitch conversation, because I think we're all glitching in ways we don't quite realize.
This is true. So we're gonna uncover some of that. We're gonna get to the good stuff today. But before we do, Alan, I don't need to tell you what's gonna happen. You tell me, because you should know by now.
Well, we're going to play a game. I don't know what it is with this specific one, but in the past it's involved Earth, Wind, and Fire, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, and I believe disco and
all the good things. Yeah.
So many great things. So whatever you've got, I'm ready. I think.
It's not just, all right. I'm glad to hear that, because it's not just a game. It's a stupid game. We even have stupid game bumper music for it, which will play in post-production. So, all right, you've agreed to play it. You already know. So you've been a great sport. So let's just see how far we can push the envelope today and see what happens. Right. So, all right. So today's stupid game, I always, as you know, always crafted in the time-honored tradition of our forefathers, something just for you. This has never been played before, will never be played again, maybe. So we're calling this one Stupid Game Einstein Edition, because I'm going to lift a quote from your book. So it's not your quote, but you're quoting Einstein in your book. So I'm going to read the quote just to get us started. So here's the quote. If I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I knew the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. So that's the setup. So here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to give you a random question on a random topic, and you can choose A or B. A, you can just give your best creative answer to the random question on the random topic, or if you don't like that, you can counter with your best creative question. So I counter your question with my own question. That's the game.
Wow. Okay.
All
That
right.
sounds like mind-blowing. Yes.
All right. Yeah, we're going to see.
Right.
It's never been done before. So who knows what could possibly go wrong? And just to keep it up to Einstein standards, we're not going to play this for 55 minutes, but I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And we're going to see how many of the world's problems we can solve in 5 minutes. So here I go. I'm setting my timer as we speak. Hold, please. 5 minutes. All right. So this is your time to get primed, get your creative juices flowing. And all right. Question number 1. If you could add a ridiculous amendment to the Constitution, what would it be?
That everyone has 1 hour a day to walk their dogs in nature.
So let it be said, so let it be done. Ratified. All right, I like it. Okay,
nothing brings joy like that.
Okay. All right, this one. All right, I'm going to read it as is. What's the most embarrassing song on your playlist? Or we could say guilty pleasure. Yeah.
And I listened to this nonstop repeat, which makes it more embarrassing while I was writing The Creativity Glitch often. A View to a Kill by Duran Duran.
Duran Duran. I knew it right away.
Which was the theme song for a James Bond movie of the same title. So it combined James Bond with
Duran
Duran.
Yeah. That was the Pierce Brosnan years, was it not?
No, that was Roger Moore. And I think Grace Slick was actually in that one, which makes it even more embarrassing to admit, because she's really not an actress, but she tried.
But, she did try. Right. So but that's okay. Don't be embarrassed. All right.
The soundtrack helped.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could think of, I don't know. The thing about, not that I want to make this about me, but I guess I can't help it. Like, I think about my playlist. I can honestly say I'm not embarrassed by any of them, even if they're cringy. I love every song on all of my playlists. Yeah.
But that's like a blind spot, Nancy.
Perhaps, but I'm leaning into it.
It's like we always think we're dressed.
I have the best music. Yes. And I can say it because I didn't make up most of it. So anyway, all right, moving right along. What is the most useless fact taking up space in your brain? And useless is probably the key word. It is what's the word I'm looking for? It's a relative term.
Oh, definitely. I would say probably 19. Well, I won't even say the year. I would say the fact that I pretty much know every episode of Gilligan's Island and could tell you the plots.
Nice. See? Kindred spirits. Yes.
Which doesn't really,
Gilligan's Island brother. Yeah.
It doesn't solve many problems, but
I don't know. I mean, I think we're talking books today. I think the book needs to be written. All the problems of the world solved on Gilligan's Island. There's one about Ireland that I think says that. So Gilligan's Island for sure.
Sleep in a hammock. Eat coconut cream pie all day.
Yeah. The memory seeds, that episode where they could read each other's minds. Yeah, not a good idea, right? We don't want to know what's in someone else's head, right? So that's very useful, I would say. So maybe I challenge you in that. All right. What would be the worst jelly bean flavor?
I think I would say stinky sock flavor.
Stinky sock. That's Doritos you've just described, by the way.
Doritos has a stinky sock?
I think it does. I think it is stinky sock. I think at least that's what it smells like. When you walk into a room where Doritos are present, you're going to smell stinky socks. That's all I'm saying. Test it out. Yeah. Or Chuck E. Cheese, because you walk into Chuck E. Cheese with the ball pit, you swear you smell Doritos. I'm just saying.
I always thought the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese smelled like vomit. And that probably is because when kids get so sweaty in the ball pit, they probably have a little bit of that. Yeah.
They might do. Yeah. And maybe it lands on the stinky sock. So put all that in a jelly bean, and I think
that would be the worst flavor for me.
That would do it. All right. We got time for one more. What's the most overrated thing that everyone seems to love?
I would say AI.
Okay. Ooh, you've opened the door. All right. I love it. I love it. I think we're going to have to go there, but you've done an excellent job.
I think we solved a lot of the world's problems just then.
We did. I think I'm counting at least 5 of them, and the jelly bean one alone, I think that was worth the price of the game. So congratulations on another successful round of this
awesome
game. All right. Well, where do we go from here?
Hey, if everybody hearing this podcast, though, they have to listen later to A View to a Kill by Duran Duran.
Oh, they do. We'll put it in the show notes.
The song needs some more likes, right, to just keep it in circulation.
Yeah. I did go through a Duran Duran phase. And because I think I was, whenever they came out, I was either in middle school or high school, and you were kind of obligated.
They're in their 70s now, and they're probably... I don't know this, but I bet they're playing like cruise ships for retired people, still going.
Oh, I'm sure they are. We have a venue up here where I live in Buffalo, Western New York, that they have all Toto comes back, or Little River Band, they're all in their 80s now, but they're rocking it out, and people are coming. Yeah.
Toto never left Nancy though. Toto.
Okay, all right. I know you feel strongly about that. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm there. Do you know who actually is still playing? This blew my mind. Herb Alpert and the T1 Brass.
He came to Colorado Springs. I didn't see him, but he came here last year, and I didn't know he was alive. So it was a surprise.
Yeah, I know. So I know I really wanted to go see him because he was not too far from here. So to say I'll catch him next time. That's playing. That's rolling the dice right there. So yeah. But I love me the Spanish. What is it? Spanish Flea, the Elephant Walk, all that good stuff.
Rise.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that, but yeah, they're all on my playlist. I'm just saying, right. And I'm not embarrassed to say. Okay, so moving right along, you wrote a book. So hey, tell us, give us your elevator pitch about the book, and then we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive.
Sure. Yeah. So this book is brand new, like a couple of weeks old as we're talking right now.
A baby book.
Yes. It's just, getting out there. And here's the premise. We are all made to create, but something's in the way. And when I talk about creating, it's everything from cultivating ideas, a garden, a relationship, a story, a song, a relationship. Like what we do when we create is we make something new that wasn't there before. We bring beauty, life, and order into the world in unique ways through who we are, which is our presence, and what we do, which is our gifting. But something is set against it. And so everybody I've been talking to pretty much, if not 100%, like 99.9 over the last several years has said to me, I'm just the things that once filled me with joy, I'm stumbling through. I've quit trying to do. I've forgotten why what I'm called to do matters. And so our desire and our ability to create with God has been sabotaged, I believe. And I give a name to that in the book, which is the title of the book, The Creativity Glitch. Something is glitching, and we need to care about that as if it really matters, because it does. Like if we had a broken arm, we would get it fixed. If we had trouble breathing, we would go immediately and get it fixed. But just as the creator, God, gave us breath of life, well, he also gave us his DNA of creativity. So when we stop creating, we should treat it as significantly as if we had stopped breathing. We should say, this is not okay. It's not a way to live. And I am going to find out what's in the way so I can really start bringing life and beauty and order to the world again instead of being on the sidelines. So that's the focus of the book.
Okay. So you used a phrase in the book. I loved it. You used the phrase art attack. Loved it. Right. Yeah. So you're talking
Yes.
about an art attack. And at the same time, I want to spend a little bit just kind of pressing into this, because when we think creativity, we usually think the artsy people, the bohos, the people that are painting and dancing and acting and singing, and that world, the humanities majors, right? We don't think about the engineers. We don't think about the the ones that use their we don't it's that term. Now I'm glitching out. There's a term that doesn't matter. Anyway, we don't think about those people. But your premise, and I remember we talked about this years ago, is that no, that's not true. Everyone is creative. And I think for an accountant to hear that, they might bristle a little bit. So talk to that accountant right now.
Well, yeah. And Nancy, in the book, I say, like, the first person I'm writing the book for is actually not the person who knows they're creative, but just is stuck. But the first person is the person who says, I'm not creative, because I would say to that person, you're glitching more than anybody, because you have accepted a false premise, a lie, a counterfeit story that you're not creative. And so that's the biggest glitch of all, is we never pursue something that God made us to do, and we just take ourselves out of the game. And my sister is an accountant, or was an accountant. She's now she's been a stay-at-home mom for a while, but she was telling me when I was writing this book, oh gosh, this isn't one that's really for me. And I was like, actually, it's most for you, because I'm going to help reawaken something that you thought, perhaps just from college on or high school on, yeah, I'm working with numbers, I'm not really creative. When actually our creativity is seeing how to solve a problem. Exactly. Our creativity is seeing what could be. That's imagination at work. And so a school teacher, a stay-at-home parent, an accountant, a clerk working at a 7-Eleven, all these people that, might go, I'm not in the arts, like how it's defined today. I'm not a painter. I'm not creative. It's a little bit like saying, well, I'm not a professional chef, and so I'm not a cook, but you cook dinner every night. You make something you eat. I guarantee you eat. And anytime you're not at a restaurant, you're making something, even if it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Yeah, we've lost the ability in many cases to even believe we're creative. And that's one group. And the other group is, no, you don't have to convince me. I know I love to write music. I love poetry. I love making something that wasn't there before. I get it. But the problem is they're either not pursuing it, or they're not understanding how to pursue it with God. So it's off. So in either case, the enemy wins. We either walk away and don't create, or we limp through our creativity, and instead of looking how to do it with God, we look to formula, we look to AI to help us, we look to what's been done before and just kind of repeat it. None of those things are really our creativity coming alive. They're kind of a recreation of what's already been. So those are just that's just really a way to cast the net and say, everybody listening, this is totally for you.
Right. It's for you. Right. Yeah. It isn't just for the elite crowd. Because I know we've had this discussion before too. My husband, who's a brilliant engineer, he's one of the most highly creative people I know, because like you said, he's problem solving, right? Not just that he knows how to design a machine, but he knows how to look at a whole process and a whole company and see, okay, what's going on here, and how can we make it better, and how can we leverage people's strengths? And that takes a lot of creativity.
A ton of creativity. Yeah. And if you're having a conversation with a friend who leaves in a better place, and you may have thought, well, yeah, I didn't do anything creative today. No, actually, you brought beauty and life into another person through your words, you made something that wasn't there in that conversation. So part of it is broadening the definition of how we see creativity, which is how are we making a difference? How are we making something that matters with our time? And that doesn't have to be a physical thing like a book or a painting. It could be the flowers you plant in your garden. It could be the neighbor conversation for 5 minutes while you're walking to the mailbox. All of those things are making something different than when we first got to that point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All of it. Right. All of the beauty that we either cultivate or curate or create, right? And this is a little bit philosophical, because the truth is there's only one creator, right? It's like he created everything out of nothing. So that's, in the essence, that's the truest form of creation, is out of nothing. And that was God's job. He did that. So, but he gave us all these raw materials, right? So that's why we can partner and co-create with him. We don't make something out of nothing. We make something out of what he's already provided for us. But when we can do it with him, that's when we really see something beautiful happen.
Absolutely. And when we untether, whether we consciously do this or whether we just kind of de facto do this, if we don't pursue what we love with God, then we're pursuing it in our own strength. And we're creating like an orphan, meaning we're never going to transcend our own thoughts. We're never going to transcend our own strength or ability. And when we create, what we want to do is we want to join with God, one, for the intimacy, right? But two, for the abundance. And like he tells us in Jeremiah 33:3, like, if you'll call to me, I'll show you things beyond your wildest imagination, things you can't even fathom. Well, do we want to enter into whatever project, even if it's, like if a stay-at-home mom's listening and she's like, I'm doing all I can to survive the day. I've got 3 kids under 5. Well, you are changing the atmosphere in your home in certain ways. But when you feel like there's no more options or there's no better way than what you're doing and you're exhausted, well, that's when Jeremiah 33:3 comes into play. Call to God, and he'll show you things beyond your wildest imaginations, things that you think aren't possible in how you spend the day and how you go after the hearts of those kids and how you nurture your own heart. All of those are creative enterprises.
Yeah, I love that. Call to God, and he will show you. Also, I love how you said it's intimacy and abundance, right? Yeah. And I think it's in that order, right? I think intimacy has to come first, because the abundance comes out of it. Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, a few years ago, there was this really great kind of online social. You can find it now on YouTube, but it was called the AI Dilemma. And these 2 guys are talking to a lot of the people who were the early crafters of AI. And one of the things in the room, and this was 2 years ago, so it's already light years beyond this, but what they were saying is the first generation of AI was basically information, and it was a way for people to feel connected. But this generation we're in now, which is 2 years, we're 2 years past this, was a race to intimacy. And they said that their quote was kind of, whoever wins the intimacy in your life wins everything. And so this is people, this is a group creating artificial intelligence, but the goal of it isn't to be our genie or our friend. It is intimacy in the sense of artificial intimacy. But if we start looking to AI more than to God, because AI is faster and it answers every question immediately and it feels like abundance, well, we're getting artificial intimacy and we're getting artificial abundance. And it's actually using us more than we're using it. So that's just one glimpse into when we don't pursue God as part of our creative efforts and what we're making, whether it's making a difference in somebody's life or whether it's making a work of art. When we don't do that, we will fill that gap with something, And AI is what a lot of people are spending more time, Nancy, with than God. So if you just look at how much we're on our screens, how much we look to social media, AI, Chat GPT, versus how much time we spend with God in a day, the results are not good.
Oh boy. Okay, let's get into it, because I know before we hit record, we were having a bit of a conversation about this, and this is a thing. So, like, first of all, I want to say I was at a conference in May where it was at in the conference there were a lot of people talking about AI, and one of the things they talked about was this phenomenon happening mostly through young people, probably Gen Zers, and maybe young people. AI dating, right? You're dating, like, not like matching, not like online dating or eHarmony or whatever, but like, no, you're dating your AI, like your AI boyfriend, your AI girlfriend. Like, that's a thing.
It is a sign of the times that we have lost our minds and are in danger of losing like our sanity in every level, because like it's basically the same thing as in Eden when Adam and Eve turned from God as Father and Creator to the tree of good and evil, and they basically were buying the lie that we can create a better future for ourselves than the one God is offering us, and we can become like lowercase g gods. We can be in control of our destiny. We can create our own reality. In the case you just named, we can create a lover, a boyfriend or girlfriend or friend or companion that is artificial, and yet we somehow think this is real life. And in the book, early on, like in the first section, I have a chapter. Every chapter is one page, by the way, for listeners. So it's a one-page chapter with white space where you can breathe and you
love it. Yes, highly digestible. Just a little thing to think about. Yeah, I love that setup. Yep.
But it's kind of like going from shallow to deep end of the pool or the ocean. And one of the early chapters is called Rise of the Artificial. And I asked like 4 questions just to orient people. And then I get into AI later in the book. The focus of the book is not AI, other than the fact that AI causes us to glitch and it gets in the way of what we were born and made to create. But some of the early questions I just asked people is, 1, how can outsourcing our ideas and imagination to the artificial make us or our offerings more real? 2, what is the cost of becoming dependent on AI to do our work faster or cheaper, knowing it doesn't have our best interest at heart or even a heart? 3, the more AI learns you, the easier it will eventually be to replace your ideas, your voice, and your value. Have you considered that while you're using and learning AI, it is also using and learning you? Another way to say that is AI is not neutral. It's not like a brick that you can either use to build a hospital or to build a toxic chemical factory. That analogy does not work with something that thinks and that informs you and that wants to date you. It's not the same as a brick. And 4, AI hasn't existed for 99.9999% of human history. Everything created until recently was created without it. So why does it now seem so indispensable, so relevant that to even try to get through our day without it seems terrifying, and that we're incapable? So those are just 4 kind of out of the gate questions to make us go, let's relook at this a little bit, because just because culture says this is inevitable doesn't mean it's inevitable or necessary. And that's part of, like Nancy, you and I talk a lot about an examined life. An examined life isn't, well, everybody's doing it, or it just seems like it's part of the world today. Well, you get to choose how you live and who you are, no matter what the world says, right?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, we're talking about questions. So I'm seeing a link here. I want to chase this link a little bit. So questions and intimacy, right? So this whole thing about we're yearning for intimacy, right? So, and whoever, you said whoever wins intimacy in your life wins everything. And I think there's a lot to that. And I think there's a link to questions. You just brought up these 4 questions, right? So the idea is where do we bring, not just what the questions are, but where do we bring our questions? That's kind of why I started with Albert Einstein, right? So questions. So, answering questions, coming, and not just answering questions, but coming up with our own questions. Quote from your book: questions are our friends, serving as invitations into conversations with God. So I would just like to hear from you a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, and questions, I think questions, we have trained, I would say, by social media and the internet and culture. We've been trained that questions are something that get in the way of where we want to be and what we want to do. And so when there's a question, the immediate impulse is solve it, get an answer immediately, and move on, right? Like the questions are hurdles to whatever we want, where I believe questions are actually meant for us to ponder and to sit with. And, you think about like a lot of the Jewish rabbis going back in history around the time of Jesus.
And we're going to leave it right there. I know, not fair, but don't worry, because we will be back to continue this conversation next time with part 2 of The Creativity Glitch, all about Alan Arnold's brand new book. I know you want to hear it. And if you can't wait, you can sign up for daily readings with Alan at withallen.com. That's WITHALLEN.com. And for more Misfit fun for everyone, check us out at the isleofmisfits.com, ISLE of misfits.com. And most of all, will you just share these episodes if they've encouraged you? Will you help us spread the word about owning your awkward, loving your fellow misfit, and seeking beauty and truth everywhere?
We're gonna live so free. We're gonna live